Emily, we are recording, correct?
We are recording and we're live in the Meet and we're getting the YouTube stream up and running in just a moment. Sorry guys, give us just a minute. We're having a couple of technical issues. I hate to hold y'all up anymore. We are recording and we'll post the video live onto YouTube if, within 10 or 15 minutes of the meeting being here also.
So you want us to go ahead and start?
I think you can go ahead and start.
Okay, because we can wait if we need to. Welcome to Decatur City Board of Education Special Session Board Meeting today, April 30th, 2020. It is 4 o'clock. We are now calling this meeting to order. We're conducting a virtual meeting pursuant to the governor's state of emergency order and to protect the board members, staff, and the public from COVID-19. Jennifer, please call the roll.
Mr. Dwight Jett,
Here.
Miss Michelle King,
Here.
Miss Peggy Baggett,
Here.
and Miss Karen Duke.
Here. Donnie is out of town and could not be with us. You have a copy of the agenda before you. If there's no changes or corrections, we'll consider it approved as written. Next on the agenda is business action and report. Dr. Douglas.
Mrs. Maples?
The first item you have is a bid tabulation sheet for the Chestnut Grove Elementary HVAC renovation Phase 1. The low bid is from Smith Services Corporation, $561,000. The funds will be to be used for this would be the warrant funds that we've already earlier in the year, and it is in our 5-year capital plan.
I recommend the board approve the bid for Chestnut Grove HVAC.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve the bid for Chestnut Grove HVAC. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. King, second.
Second.
Mr. Jett, discussion? Please call the roll, Jennifer.
Mr. Jett,
Yes.
Miss King,
Yes.
Miss Baggett,
Yes.
and Miss Duke.
Yes. We have a unanimous vote to approve the bid for Chestnut Grove. Thank you. Dr. Douglas.
Mrs. Maple?
The next item is a contract change order. This is for the Decatur High Science Wing renovation, the Decatur High developmental portion of the building that was renovated. This is a deduction of $999,380.89. That's comprised of unused allowances of $50,265. The materials that we purchased, $871,323, and then sales tax savings of $77,792.64. That brings the total contract to Boyette Construction down to $2,102,959.11.
I recommend the board approve the change order for Decatur High Science Wing renovation.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve a change order for Decatur High Science Wing renovation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jett, second.
Second.
Ms. King, discussion?
That's great.
Is the renovation complete and final?
Yes, it's complete.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor, please call the roll, Jennifer.
Mr. Jett,
Aye.
Miss King,
Aye.
Miss Baggett,
Aye.
and Miss Duke.
Aye. We have a unanimous decision on the change order for Decatur High. Dr. Douglas, personnel.
Yeah, I recommend the board approve the personnel agenda for certified and non-certified personnel.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve the personnel certified and non-certified. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Baggett, second.
Second.
Mr. Jett, discussion? All those in favor, please call the roll, Jennifer.
Mr. Jett,
Aye.
Miss King,
Aye.
Miss Baggett,
Aye.
and Miss Duke.
Aye. We have a unanimous decision on the personnel recommendation from the superintendent. Superintendent action and report. Dr. Douglas?
Before we move on, I did want to, at both our last meeting and this meeting, we've had some retirements, and I just didn't want to not recognize them because we were virtual. On our last board meeting, John Cooper, Austin High, 27 and a half years. Mitchell Knox, Austin High School, 27 years. Robin Barker, Chestnut Grove, 24 years. Daniel Chenault, Transportation, 10 years. And from this agenda, Austin Junior High, Sandra Sandlin, 13 years. Angela Willingham, 1 year. C&P Lisa Morgan, 27 years. And Oak Park Elementary, Matthew Connor, 18 years. I want to thank those individuals for their service to Decatur City Schools.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Douglas.
Also, I do want to highlight with this personnel agenda, I'd like to highlight 3 positions. Leslie Russell will be the new principal at Decatur High School. She comes from Aniana. She and I had worked together there. We want to welcome her aboard. Very excited to finally get some help at central office. Dr. Melissa Scott coming to be federal programs. That position had been vacated by Dr. Collier in the fall, so we're very excited to have that position filled. And Miss Anita Clark will be moving to secondary curriculum supervisor. Obviously, they will leave big holes, but they will provide central office some much needed help and a wealth of expertise as we move forward. So I did want to highlight those 3 to the board. In terms of my report, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Satterfield to talk about the code of conduct.
Hey, good afternoon. You have a copy of the first reading for the 2020 21 Code of Conduct. don't really have anything to add to it today other than to let you review. Please note that it did go before the required stakeholders. We had administrators, teachers, parents, student committee put together right before we dismissed for COVID-19 that reviewed the code of conduct with me, and we came up with these recommendations. So this is first reading. If you have any questions, you can let me know before the second reading.
Do we need to vote on this item, Dr. Douglas?
No, it's a first reading, but if the board has any questions, you can ask them.
Is this online now as a new item?
Mr. Satterfield, is it online?
No, it is to the public. No, it's because it has not received board approval. It's
Okay.
just in your packet. It was distributed in draft format last week to the principals for review and to the committee members, and I had no suggested changes or comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Satterfield, I do have a question on the first one on the proposed revision. That is on an excused absence, where it says, and on any absences of 2 days. So that it doesn't have to be an excused absence then, right? I would think so. It just says on any absences.
Yeah, was working. One day for any absences, and what happened was we had a couple situations where some extended absences, and that was reading to some of the administrators that about 5 or 6, 7, 8 days that they only had 3 days. So all I did was just kind of clean that up. Excused absences is really what that's for. Unexcused absences should not, that won't necessarily apply. So if you'd like me to clean that up, I can, but all I did was basically just clarify the wording on the absences. A lot of times we don't get the note in from a doctor, especially if they're faxing that or sending an email direct from the office within that day or two. Sometimes they do those when they bring their clerical staff in. So that's how that has been helpful, the way the wording is.
On the first part, when you were talking, there was a bad connection. I don't know if everybody else got the same thing, but I did. It was very hard for me to understand what you were saying when you first started talking.
I think if Mr. Satterfield, if you could repeat, and if everybody else will mute your mic when he's talking, and then you can unmute, I think that'll, but it was very clear. And in the name of transparency, I think the public needs to hear it because it did break up.
Okay.
Okay, I think it was breaking up a little bit. I think what you were saying, repeat that again because the mics were not muted. Ms. King, that all I did was clarify that it mainly applies to excused absences. I just changed the wording because there was some confusion by some administrators when there was extended absences for students that had really a week or more that they felt like the board policy was only providing for 3 days of makeup for extended absences. The reason it says any absence is because a lot of times we may not get a doctor's note faxed to us from a physician till later in the week when their staff comes in to do that. But usually those are converted. We have a section that addresses unexcused, but I see what you're saying where it says any absences.
Right.
I will make a note to clarify that a little more before the second reading.
Okay.
Dwight, one thing we changed some of this about the tobacco and everything, between semesters, I believe.
Yes, ma'am.
Fit in there well with that.
Yes, we actually seem to greatly slow down the issues that we were having with vaping, or at least the ones that were visible to us with this. So the rewording coincides with what we did going into the second semester. Now, one of the changes that the committee talked about was trying to separate, because vape, you don't know, and the labs really, there's no way to really get a lab test whether it's THC, CBD, or if it's tobacco. So we took the terminology out of there that specifies what it is. And if you're vaping or if you're smoking, you're subject to case. But if you're found to just be in possession of a tobacco product, let's say you have a skull can or a dip can or something like that, and you're not using it, they're going to handle that with in-school suspension. And basically that's just what we were doing second semester, and it greatly decreased the number of reported instances we had with vaping and or.
All right, that sounds good, Dwight. I think I heard everything. That was right there on the very end. It cut out, but I think we had heard the meat of what you had to say.
I just said the way we changed things for second semester, and this is in line with that, is it greatly reduced the number of vaping cases that our administrators had to deal with.
That's great. That's good.
Any other questions for Dwight? Okay, Dr. Douglas, is there anything that you wanted to say in addition to that on the code of conduct?
No.
Next on the agenda is the Decatur City School Board of Education resolution of the board dated April 30th, 2020. And it reads as follows: whereas on March 6, 2020, the Decatur City School Board of Education unanimously approved the recommendation of Superintendent Dr. Michael Douglas that an agreement to sell certain real estate, namely the Brookhaven School property, to 3M be approved. And whereas upon the recommendation that the Brookhaven School property be sold to 3M, the Decatur City School Board unanimously approved the sale at a purchase price of $1.25 million. And whereas the Decatur City School Board finds there to be no present need for the Brookhaven School property, and whereas the property has found to be contaminated by chemicals from its prior use as a municipal dump site. Whereas the real estate closing on this property is set for May 1, 2020. Therefore, it is resolved that the Decatur City School Board approves of the sale of the Brookhaven School property to 3M, and further designates School Board President Karen Duke or Superintendent of Education Dr. Michael Douglas as the responsible person for the execution of all settlement documents at closing on behalf of the school system. By affixing signature below, this document is a certified, hold on one second, sorry. This document is a certified true copy of the resolution passed at the meeting of the Decatur City Board of Education on April 30th, 2020 at 4:00 p.m. held virtually. It is hereby certified by the undersigned that the foregoing resolution was duly passed by the Decatur City School Board of Education on April 30th, 2020 in accordance with all applicable laws and requirements is in full force and effect.
I recommend the board approve the resolution for the sale of Brookhaven property.
We have a recommendation from the superintendent to approve the sale of the Brookhaven property. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jett, second.
Second.
Ms. Baggett, discussion?
I'm not sure who this question would be for. It may be Mr. Satterfield, but who's going to maintain the property after we sell it? I mean, I know it's going to be their responsibility, but I guess my driving point is I don't want the school just to fall apart as far as the grass and outside. Do they know that they'd have to be responsible for maintaining it? I know that may sound like a simple question, but
I mean, they would be responsible as of a minute after closing.
okay.
And if they didn't, that would be a city issue in terms of them not maintaining the property. We wouldn't have any authority over them. Once you sell the piece of property, it is my understanding that it is their intent to raise the property and use it to set up a remediation site so that they can fix the property. Now, that's what's been indicated, but once we sell the property, we really have no say.
Okay, so we've made no commitments on anything else.
No.
Okay, have we got everything out of the building and off the site that we were planning on getting out?
We have gotten everything out that we want. The building is still, I was in there last weekend. The building still has old filing cabinets, desk, but every school has gotten what it wanted or needed. But yes, we've gotten everything out that we need, but there is still stuff in the building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? We have a first and a second on the motion from Dr. Douglas. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I
I'm
guess
sorry.
we
I'm
got to do
sorry.
one by one.
Roll, please. Yeah.
Mr. Jett,
Aye.
Miss King,
Aye.
Miss Baggett,
Aye.
and Miss Duke.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Dr. Douglas?
Yeah, it's my understanding that I think Lee may be on with Melanie. So as a part of my report, I'll let him give you an update on where we're at with construction.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, activity buildings, Chestnut Grove. Right now, we're looking at bidding that one May 5th, next Tuesday. That is if the state gives us approval. We're still lagging behind on approval on several of these. Austinville Elementary will be May 7th, and Julian Harris will be May 14th. Again, this is on the approval of the state approving our documents. The welding project has, you guys just approved the bid, so we've already set up a meeting on May 6th to have an on-site with a contractor, and we'll keep it to a minimal, keep our spacing and all that good stuff. And then we'll schedule a pre-start with the state once the contracts are, we get their contracts back, which we sent those out yesterday. So, and the general contractor, he's already pulling submittals together on all the equipment. And we got Miller's drone on their ventilation system yesterday. So we're reviewing it for conflicts with our work. The Chestnut Grove HVAC project, of course, that we'll start the process today since you guys approved that. So that's good. The central office, the first round of those schematic drawings that I believe everybody's seen, they went down to the state back a few weeks ago, and we got their approval back on those today. We have our second meeting with the engineer scheduled for Monday. So we're moving forward with everything, and I think, yeah, just waiting for this to get over. We can all get back together and review plans again. That's all I had, unless y'all got something for me.
Sounds good, Lee.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Karen, you may want to unmute.
If there's no other questions or discussion, we'll consider ourselves adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.